Quaid Azam, Part 338. I beg your pardon, please. There was no other Muslim leader who could have even attempted to do so, much less achieved success. Pakistan was coming into being as a result of Jinnah's individual pertinacity. Munger Ram's assessment of formerly of the ICS as a very different ring. It is essential to add, however, that Indians, without exception, admired and still admire the sincerity of the post-war British government of men such as Cripps, Pethick Lawrence, Attlee in their aim of achieving a united India. In the creation of Pakistan, they were hosted on the petard of history, part of which had been created by their own forebears. The Muslims and native states had become the breakwaters sustaining British power. It is difficult, therefore, to accept in its entirety Moon's instance of striking example of a single individual influencing the broad course of history, for without Jinnah there would have been no Pakistan. I dissent from these judgments. My own hypothesis is rather different, namely that the product mix of British, Muslim and not Muslim Indians, both Hindus and others, and not Jinnah alone, created Pakistan. Agreed. The question who actually did it remains. In a very perceptive essay upon those events, then written, was by then liberal jurist Sir Chaman Lal Setalwad, who deplored that partition of India had not been reached as a result of mutual goodwill and understanding, and in his own opinion, all the parties concerned were to be blamed for this. The cabinet mission scheme had been killed by the wobbling and vacillating attitudes of one party, the Congress. He added the cherished boon of a united India had fallen into their Congress lap, but they, by their own want of political wisdom, threw it out and made it beyond their reach. No one studying the swift movement of India towards partition of the years preceding 1947 can fail to be surprised at the tame manner in which the Indian National Congress in 1939 yielded the political initiative and position of power which it had so manfully and deservedly won for itself in the previous 2 decades. Almost equally surprising was its subsequent failure to restore its fortunes and reassert itself. It was this breakdown of the Congress which opened the way for the Muslim League and Pakistan. Against this record of achievement and potential, by 1939, the acceptance of partition less than 10 years later, along with the recognition that the Muslim League under Jinnah had become the representative of Muslim Party, was terrible defeat, mortifying and almost incomprehensible and unacceptable. Yet the fact was, within those 10 years, India was split and Pakistan was born. Even the most confirmed congressman cannot fail to ask what went wrong. He continues his palpable anguish marked by irrefutable logic in the same vein, recording that Nehru, after the frustrating experience of working of the interim government, noticed a mental alliance between British officials and the League members. B.R. Nanda, in his essay Nehru, the Indian National Congress and the Partition of India 1935-47, had mentioned that Nehru and Patel agreed to the partition of India because they were avid for power. The immediate problem, as Nehru saw it, was to arrest the swift drift to anarchy and chaos. In retrospect, it appears that the Congress acceptance of the partition was not just a sudden development, as may have seemed at the time. It was culmination of a process which had begun immediately after the passage of Pakistan resolution by Lahore session of All India Muslim League.